Welcome to Lesson 23 of the Mountain Maidu language class. Today we're going to make up a few new words using miscellaneous infixes. Then we're going to listen to Maym Gallagher tell a harrowing story of something that happened to her when she was a girl. For the Modern Maidu part, turn to page 46 in your Modern Maidu workbook. For these, I didn't list all the words that we already have in the dictionary that have these infixes, but we've already run across many of these in our lesson so far. The first one under section 2J is us. We've already seen this. Remember paitolo us? Doing something to oneself. So, how would you invent a word for getting yourself ready, as in get ready for school? We have a word, yahati, make things good, get things in order. How would you make up the word get oneself in order, get ready? Yahati us. Get ready for school. School na yahati us maankano. What if you wanted to make up a word for intrude or interfere? We have a word estoti, put in the middle. If you add us, it means put yourself in the middle or interfere. Estoti us. Bebamwea. Estoti us. What if we wanted a word for support yourself or be independent? We have a word support, huno. How would you say support oneself? Huno us. Now let's try another infix, book. This means try to do. Say we want to invent a word for flirt. When you flirt, what are you trying to do? Maybe you're trying to seduce somebody. We have a word for seduce, hewelek. Bebamwep, hewelek. How would you make up a word for flirt, meaning try to seduce? Hewelek book. Hewelek book. Now, let's skip down to another infix, boduk, not much. If you wanted to invent a word for diet, you could take the word pe, eat, and add boduk, not much. Dieting would be pebodukdom. Pebodukdom. You can go down this list on your own and make up new words, and at the same time get to know some of these infixes you may not have met yet. The infix chui means not be able to do. How would you say I can't afford it, meaning I can't pay for it? Mana pakal chui kas. I can't pay for it. Bebam weyep. Mana pakal chui kas. What if you wanted to say I don't have time? Instead of using the English idiom have time, you would use the Maidu verb wosip, spend time. If you don't have time, that means you're not able to spend time. So, adding chui to the end of wosip, you get wosip chui, not have time. I don't have time is wosip chui kas. Bebam weyep, wosip chui kas. Mana wosip chui kas. I don't have time for it. I wish we could go through all of these, but I know we want to get to our recording. Let's go to the next page, page 47, the third one down. Our infix is heket, stop doing. If we wanted to make up a word for reconcile or make up with somebody after a fight, we could use the word we already have for quarrel, wokotito. If we add heket to the end of wokotito, it can mean stop quarreling. Wokotito heket. Wokotito really means wear each other out. Wokotito. Let's go down about 5 more. Using the infix moto together, how could you say carpool in Maidu? Batano moto, drive together. Batano moto. Let's skip on down to the last one on this page. Suppose we want a word for click on or tap on, like you would do on your device to select something. We have a word for select, woyo. Babam web woyo. If we add the ta infix, meaning on, we get woyota, select on, which could mean tap or click on. Woyota. Now, on to the next page, page 48. There's a great infix, tai, meaning miss. For example, if you wanted to say the word misunderstand, you would take the word understand, makit, and add tai on the end. Makit tai, misunderstand. Makit tai. Then there's the infix webis, do over and over. If you wanted to make up a word for nag, you could use the word ask for, hape or ape, and add webis, hape webis, keep on asking for, or nag. Nick hape webis men, don't nag me. Nick hape webis men. Or stop nagging me. Nick hape webis heket. Unfortunately, we don't have time for all of these during class, but please try to go through them on your own and make up new words. Now we're going to listen to a recording of Maym Gallagher talking about a frightening experience she had when she was a girl going off to a new school in Oroville. See if you can understand her story.
Emum tebe ismani kaniki wolem mubekum tetetom yawikum hubona min woyoko maka sakumam wolem aibum Oroville kan amana akumen kausen stage usan tenem kabayo ki hanuno pe amam they kosasay hati bos keten nure kumas school ko yamanikas Hamburg Valley akan wolem amanan nure kumas yamani chonamadum tem yaman amuni imbenek di tsaim mat kamen ku musim munim batana kum Maidu kum amuni newsim kumas heko wole batana kum Maidu adom yamani tem yamani doino asmini be muim beinik wasa hue pairum kwaio yesant tiweten beinik halapsip marum station beiniki bailini wasasam heuk itkumam etos dum doninu kumas wole maim break akan amadi dom de halap sikidom nik be siwet mun hoe chat be lek nim pai to ignore tikumas yaman do no tido amani kui wolem bomuti we kumama yesano padom niki acet Yet unoas pai jo niwet batano do. Tin be muing yamanim chichui dikno kumas adom be muing kwai so yesano tiweten ukochida kumas tetnum yaman sipin tikan adom be hey wes ni hukonum muing wolem nikoi paiekam peliktunum yesano adom nek tet bebum tibini keso jet be muing kwai to nore kumas be yamano kit be hepto kumas be kadang korena koidam kwai be waleda ma pin ka tuwe mani be yesano tidom be boche kumas be nui maidu dom skam ipan nakam kumam mamut kapotam kana ide ama mewetin ne doni kumas unis baby mi kati mani mumadu kuwe kumas achet bem ketum bamut nung wakodom yo kitnum waymen kumam even with they looked away in the yacht batana kumam tet set dom dik dom way masma twali maki wono ma pe be makkin dom kumam wolem dik be isimi atanendo we set dom dik no eten be kasm train amadi dikdom de koonam wiki koipina dikno kumas wiki school ma pin ko doide I think as mari chemenunum manan.
Well, I hope you were able to understand most of that. You know, I'm always asking you, what does that mean? Instead of asking you in English all the time, I'm going to start asking you in Maidu. Hesi maikare means, what does it mean? Hesi maikare. If I wanted to ask you, what do you mean? It would be, hesi maika. If I wanted to say, what does that mean? I could say, amam, hesi maikare. What does that just mentioned mean? Or to say, what does that word or sentence mean? Unimwayam, hesi maikare. Or animwayam, hesi maikare. Now let's go through the recording line by line. First sentence, Pinkanup.
Emum tebe ismani kaniki wolem mubekum tetetom yawikum hubona min woyoko maka sakumam wolem aibum oreville kan amana.
Woyo means send. Tetetom means bigger or higher level. Hesi maikade, tetetom yawikum habona min woyopai makas. I will send you to a bigger school or a higher school. Woyopai makas, send to. What sounds like pa in this word is the pi infix, meaning against or to. Tetetom yawikum habona min woyopai makas, akumam niki. I will send you to a bigger school, he said to me. This is a direct quote, just like we learned. Who said it? Niki wolem mabekum, my white father. He's the subject, the one who's saying the quote, so there's an M on the end of mabekum. There's no word said until after the quote, just as we learned. Akum mom, he said. Hi or I is related to the word aikate, I figure or I guess. It has to do with thinking and figuring, but not being completely sure. You can translate it as I think or apparently. So to the previously mentioned place, Amana, that I think whites call Oroville. Kan niki wolama bekam, tetetom yawikam habona min woyopai makas, akum maam niki. Wolamai Oroville kan amana. My white father finally said to me, I'm going to send you to a bigger school, to what I think whites call Oroville. When did he say this to her? Babam tetebe ismani. Tetebe means get bigger, get older. Hesi maikare tetebe ismani. When I got bigger. The muni at the end of the word, tetebe ismani, shows that this dependent clause has a different subject from the main sentence, the mama bear. That was her father. So now we know a different person is getting bigger. Who is it? That is before the muni, tetebe ismani, means I. Remember, you can squeeze in a subject right before a muni or chet ending when it's not third person. When I got bigger, tetebe ismani. When I got bigger, my white father finally said to me, I'm going to send you to a bigger school, to what I think whites call Oroville. Next sentence.
Akuman kausan stage usan tenem kabayo ki hanunope.
Hesi maikade akuman kausan stage ausan. At that time, there used to be a stage, they used to call it Stagecoach. Hanun means haul or pull. Hanunope can either mean that which is pulled along or that which pulls along. In Maidu, words ending in pe can either be active, the one doing the action, or passive, the one having the action done to them. So how do you know which way to translate it? If it's passive in meaning, the one having action done to them, there's often a word ending in ki, showing who really is doing the action. In this case, we could translate the ki as by in English. Penen kawayuki hanunope, which was pulled along by 2 horses. At that time, there used to be a stage, they used to call it, being pulled by 2 horses. Next sentence.
Amam kasasay hati bos keten inure kumas school ko ito.
Wasasa yahati boswetin hasi maikade. After getting all my stuff in order, Anodoi kumas school koidom. I started out going off to school. Next sentence.
Yamanikas Hamburg Valley akan Wolen. Amanan nure kumas Yamani chonamadum tem yaman.
Now, I had a little trouble with the first part of this sentence. It sounds like she's saying Yamani kas, which doesn't make sense. My interpretation is that she started to say Yamani kas uchonomadum. I'm about to go over the mountain. But then she backs up to say where she was starting off from, Humbug Valley. Humbug Valley akan Wolam, whites called Humbug Valley. Then she says Amanan from that just mentioned place, that is, Humbug Valley. Shipley must have had trouble with this too, because he changed what she said in his transcript. He wrote Yamani as Tasmana instead of what the recording says, Yamani Kas, Humbug Valley akan Wolam. Sometimes Shipley did this, intentionally writing down something very different from what she actually said. Yes, the Maidu word for humbug is tasmam, but she said it in English instead, and she did not put na at the end, and he leaves out the part about what White said it was called. Amanan, from there, that just mentioned place, Humbug Valley. Amanan anodoi kumas. Hesi maikade. From there, I started traveling. Yamani achonomadum, to go over the mountain. Achono means go over or around something. Achonomadum means intending to go over or about to go over. It's the future from when the story happened. Babam Wayap, Yamani achonomadum. Tetem Yaman, big, big mountain or mountains. Notice how she cuts it off and says Yaman instead of Yamani. It means the same thing, mountain, as the object. The mountain's not the one doing the action. She is about to go over it. From that place, the whites called Humbug Valley, I started out traveling, about to go over the mountain, big, big mountain. Next sentence.
Amani umbenek to di tsaim mat kamen ke musim unim batana kum Maidu dekum.
Amani mumbenektodi. Then that morning, Amani shows us now it's a different subject, not Maym Gallagher this time. Chaichayamat kamen kaam. Chai means other. Chaichayim means other people. Babam wayap, chachayim. Kamen, not be there. Kamen kaam, were not there. Other people were not there. Chachayim ma'at kamen kaam. Nobody else was even there. Babam wayap, chachayim ma'at kamen kaam. Ma usim unim batanakam maida dukum. Hesi maikade. Ma usim, he by himself. Unim batanakam maida dukum. This driver man only. Way away. Unim batanakam maida dukum. Then that morning, nobody else was even there, only that driver man by himself. Next sentence.
Amani niusim kumas vehicle mongole batana kum Maidu.
Amani changes the subject back to her. Ni usim kakumas. Hesi maikade. I was by myself at that time. Ahe means accompany, go along with. Ahe koido means going off with, going off along with. Ahe koido memwole batanakam maida. Hesi maikade. Going off with that white guy, the driver man. Next sentence.
Adom Yamani tem Yamani doino asmni be muim beinik wasa hue pairum kwaio yesang tiwit en beinik halapsik madum station.
Now, the main sentence here seems to be cut out, either by Shipley or Maym Gallagher just didn't complete her sentence, as we all do when we talk sometimes. Adom yamani, tetem yamani, adoi no asmani be. When we two were going up the mountain, the big mountain, adoino, ascending, going up, adoino asmani. What does that as mean before the mani? She is telling us the subject of adoino is we too. Remember that as or has means we too as the subject of the mani clause. Bebam weep, tetem yamani, adoino asmani. When we two were going up a big mountain. Muimbe nikwasa hue paidom. Hesi maikade. That guy, now thinking bad thoughts about me, kawayu yasanoti wetten. Hesi maikade. After stopping the horses, Nick halapsit madam mum staginan. Halap means drag. Nick halapsit dom, dragging me down or down and off. Nick halapsit madam mum staginan means intending to drag me down and off from the stage, or about to drag me down and off. So when we two were going up the mountain, the big mountain, since he was thinking evil thoughts about me, after he stopped the horses, intending to drag me down and off from the stage, and here we're missing the main part of the sentence. Next sentence. Then my violin stuff fell over. Bebam weep, Nikki violin was awesome. Hey, you kit mom. Next sentence.
Ito sedang doninu kumas. Wala may break akan amadi dondo.
A chet. A chet means the subject's going to change, not the violin anymore. Doninu kumas. I held on to. Bebam weep. Doninu kumas. What did she hold on to? Wolamai mum break akan. What I think the whites call a break. Amadi dondom. Catching or grabbing at that. Notice she uses D on amadi. Grabbing at that just mentioned thing, the break. Etosdom, being strong, or because I was strong. It ends in dom, so it's the same subject, same person as the main verb, doninu kumas. Maym Gallagher. Because I was strong, I held on to what whites call a break, grabbing that. Next sentence.
Donde halap sekcidom nik. Besiwet menghuwe chat they lek ning pai to ignore ti kumas. Yamang doi no tidom.
Halap septuidom. Hesi maikare. Being unable to drag off. Remember that chili infix. Not be able to do. Halapsip chilidom nick. Being unable to drag me off. Mumhuechet. While he was thinking. Hesiwet can mean whatever, but maybe he or she means while he was trying to think of something else. Waleklek ni mung kawayu cho Unodoiti kumas. Hesi maikade. I quickly, wileklekni, started those two horses going. I got those two horses going. Unodoiti. Cause to start to go. Wileklek is quick, fast. Wileklekni, quickly. Yamani adoy notidom. Making them go up the mountain. Since he was unable to drag me down off, while he was thinking what to do, I quickly started those two horses, making them go up the mountain. Next sentence.
Amani kumi wolem. Bamuti way kumama. Yasano padom niki.
In the last lesson, you learned the word bomuti, be pitiful. Bomuti weye, to speak pitifully. Weye way, bomuti weye. Bomuti weye kumam, he spoke pitifully. What did he say? Yasanop adom niki. Stop, he was saying to me. Then that white guy spoke pitifully, saying to me, stop. Next sentence.
Acet. Yet. Unoas. Paito. Niwet batano do.
Achet. This means the subject is changing again. It was mumwolam. Now who's doing the action? Maym Gallagher. Unoas. I was going. The difference between unokumas and unoas is that unoas is ongoing, imperfect, and unokumas is sudden, completed action. The sudden actions make the story exciting, but unoas, I was going, is not sudden or completed. It slows down the story. So now we're in slow motion. She's going along. Hesi maikare nini wet. I alone, or I myself. Kawayucho nini wet batanodom. I alone driving those two horses. Meanwhile, I was going. I alone driving those two horses. Next sentence. You've learned hubong cutie, behind the house, and hubong inkity, next to the house. Here's another one like that, but instead of kiwi and inky, it's chuchui, on top. To say the mountain top, you say yamanim chuchui. Yamanim, like hubom, ends in an M before this positional word. Positional words are like kiwi or inky or chuchui. You could say chuchuidi instead of chuchui, but she just says chuchui here. And I know, chuchui sounds like urine. I can't explain why those two words seem to be so similar. Beba moyep, yamanim chuchui adiknokumas. Hesi maikade, awetin be muyim yamanim chuchui adiknokumas. Then I arrived at that mountain top. Next sentence. Wokol means be tired, and chera means take a break, and can also mean stop and have breakfast or lunch. Combining these two words, we get wokol chera, take a rest break, and eating might even be part of this break. Add tea, wokol chera tea, and it's make or let somebody else take a rest break. Who's doing the action? Maym Gallagher. I. Woko cheda tikumas. Who is she letting take a break? Mun kawayucho. The two horses. Adombe mun kawayucho be yasanoti wetten. Woko chedati kumas. As soon as I did that, got to the mountaintop, after stopping those two horses, I let them take a rest break. Tetem yaman usipintipan, as the one who made them climb such a big mountain. Next sentence.
Alam deci hei vesni hukonum muing wolem nikoi paiekam pelictunum yesano adom neki.
Hesi maikade chehe heyewe. Chehe means look all around. Yewe means back, going back. Chehe heyewe means looking back around. Chehe heyewe ismani. Remember, you can squeeze in a subject before the mani ending. What does that is mean before mani? What subject is she telling us? I, chehe heyewe ismani, means when I looked back around. The muni ending shows us that the subject of the dependent clause is different from the subject of the main verb in the sentence. The main verb is uyeka'am. He was at that time coming towards. He was at that time approaching. So who is the subject? Who's the one approaching? Muyim wolem. Adombe chehe heyewe ismani. When I looked back around, hu koinam muyim wolem nekoipai uyeka'am. Still, hu koinam. Still, that white guy was at that time approaching behind me. Uyeka'am. He was coming. He was approaching. Paliptonum. Yasanop, yasanop, adom niki. Shouting, stop, stop, saying to me. So while doing that, when I looked back around, that white guy was still approaching me from behind, shouting to me, stop, stop. Next sentence.
Acet bebum tibini keso acet be muing kwai tu nore kumas be yamanakit. Be heptoe kumas be.
Acet means the subject's going to change again from the botanicum maidum to Maym Gallagher. Muyim kawayucho unodoiti kumas. Hesi maikade. I started those two horses going. Eswoye means be halfway to something. Eswoye chet means whoever is halfway is not the same subject as the main sentence, which we just saw was Maym Gallagher. Because it ends in chet, we know it's a different person. So, who was halfway? Mum wolem. Nick eswoye chet. What is he halfway to? Me. Has to be Nick eswoye chet be. While he was less than halfway to me now. Muyim kawayucho unodoiti kumas. I started those two horses going. Yaman okitom. Coming down the mountain. Who's coming down the mountain? Maym Gallagher. Remember, the dome words in the sentence go with the subject of the main sentence, which is Maym Gallagher, the same person who got the horses going. Muyi be yeheptoye kumas be. I was afraid of that guy now. Muyi, the one she just mentioned before she mentioned the horses. Notice again, this is a beautiful, complex sentence. Here you can see the main verb, I underlined in dark blue. The subject of the main verb is I. The dome word that goes with that, with the same subject, is underlined in light blue. The words ending in chet are a different subject, so I've underlined them in green. These are the actions of Maym Gallagher. Maym Gallagher doesn't even say who she's talking about. We know because of the chet endings who's doing those actions. It's not her, and we can probably rule out the horses. While he was less than halfway to me when I started those two horses going down the mountain now I was afraid of that guy. Next sentence.
Dan ko rin ako yung kaya yung be wala da ma pin ka tuwe mani be isang tidong be boche mas be ni maidu.
The main verb is boche kuku mas. Who's doing the action? Maym Gallagher saying, I waited at that time. Bebamweye, bocheye kukumas. Who did she wait for? Muyim Maida, Mum Batanoka Maida. He's not the one doing the action, so no M on Maida. Now that you know the main sentence, I waited for that man at that time, can you see what else in the sentence she did? These are the words that end in dom. Akoidom, going off. Hadang kodoina, akoidom, going off far into the country. That's her doing it, Maym Gallagher. Yasanotidom, making them stop. Maym Gallagher did it. She stopped the horses. I underlined these in blue. They go with Maym Gallagher. Those are her actions. Just like a few lessons ago, I used the bears, and the dark blue would be like the mama bear. The light blue are the same color bears as the mama bear. There's another dependent clause with a different subject here. We know because the verb ends in money. Kawayu chombe wale dao mapem yakat. She tells us who the subject is, Kawayuchom, the two horses. Yakat means seem like. You know the word hueye, think. What were the horses thinking? Wale dao mapem. Remember that wale means run. The dao infix means down and off. Wale dao, run off down the mountain. Waledao. The ma infix means future, future at that time. In Maidu, you use ma for the future, even if now that we're telling the story, it's in the past. In English, we would say would if we're talking about future in the past. The two horses seem to think they would run off downhill. But in Maidu, it's not a different word. It's ma for both future and future in the past. Just use ma for the future if it hasn't happened yet in the story, even if the story's now in the past. She throws in yakat, seeming to, because, of course, we don't know for sure what anyone is thinking, and she doesn't know exactly for sure what the horses are thinking. When those two horses seemed like they were thinking of running off downhill, now let's look at this whole beautiful complex sentence and understand which actions are done by Maym Gallagher and which actions are done by the horses. So again, I underlined the main verb in dark blue. I waited for that man. I underlined the dome words in light blue. These also belong to Maym Gallagher, the one doing the main action of waiting for that man. Then I underlined the money dependent clause in green. That action is being done by the horses. She helps us out by telling us it's the horses, Kawayuchom, with an M at the end. They're not the subject of the main sentence, but they are the subject of their own dependent money clause. Now, Pinkanoop, the translation of the whole sentence. Having gone off a long way into the country, when the two horses seemed to think they would run off downhill, right then stopping them, I waited for that man at that time. Next sentence.
De ska makipanda ka kumam mamut kapotam kanai di ama mewetin ne doni kumas.
Do you remember the word kapota? Coat. Hesi maikare kapotan kanaidi. Under a coat. Mamuk is another way of saying maki, his. Hesi maikare unimwem. Maki pandakang kumam mamuk kapotan kanaidi. His gun was at that time under his coat. Hesi maikare ama mewetin. After taking it, ama refers to the thing just talked about, maki pandaka. After I took it, who took it? Maym Gallagher. The wetin ending means it's the same person who did the main action in the sentence. Doninu kumas. I held on to it. The gun was at that time under his coat. After I took it, I held on to it. Next sentence.
Baby mani kachi mani mumadu hui kumas.
What's the main verb in this sentence? Huie kumas. I thought. Maym Gallagher is the subject. She's the one thinking. What did she think? Babam nik kaati mani. If he did the same thing to me again, she doesn't say who the subject is. All she has to do is put the mani on the end of the verb to show you this is a different subject. And it's pretty obvious who she's talking about. Mum wolam. If he did the same thing to me again, model would be shooting. Is shoot, sometimes spelled mu. Remember that ma was future at the time she was thinking it, just like the horse is thinking of running away. So Maidu's going to use ma for that future. In English, we can translate it as would. I would be shooting. Because of the dome ending, we know who's doing the action, the same person who's thinking it. I thought I would shoot. She doesn't say shoot him. Maidu often leaves out an object pronoun like me when it's pretty obvious to figure out. There's only one person she would want to shoot. Let's look at this beautiful complex sentence once again and see which actions belong to Maym Gallagher with the blue underlines and which belong to the Botanica Maida green underlines. If he did the same thing to me again, I thought, I would shoot him. Next sentence.
Achet bem ketnum bamut nung wakodum leo kitnum waymen kumam.
Achet means a different subject for this sentence. It's not going to be Maym Gallagher now. Notice she does not come right out and say who's doing the action. She doesn't say Botanica Maidum. The achet tells us now it's the other person. And what is the main verb in the sentence? Wewemen kumam. You can tell by the ending that this is the main verb. He didn't speak. Now, all the dome words are going to refer to him since he's the one doing the main action. Bomutidom, being pitiful. Wokodom, being tired. Okitdom, coming down. All these dome words happening at the same time all belong to Botanica Maida. Meanwhile, he being very much pitiful and tired while coming down, he did not speak. Next sentence.
Tawet in the Yahat Botanicum Tet set them Dignudon Way Masma.
What's the main verb? Botanicum mom. He drove. Lukta, climb up on. Lukta wetin be, Yahat Botanicum mom be. As soon as he climbed up, he drove well. Remember that verbs ending in wetin have the same subject as the main verb, just like the dome words. Tet we set dome, being very afraid. Who was afraid? Botanicum Maidum. How do we know? Because we set dome ends in dome, so it refers to the same person who's doing the action in the sentence, driving. Wea masma, what I would say. Now, here's some new grammar. The ending ma has a different meaning from the infix ma, the verb root ma, and the noun ma. Let's review ma. As a noun, it means hand or paw. As a main verb root, it means do or be. As an infix, it means future. And now we're learning that as an ending or suffix, it means the same as the pe ending. Place where, one who, or that which. If I were going to use pe to say what I would say, it would be niki weamape, which is perfectly fine. Notice the ma future infix, meaning would or will, that's still there. The ma ending has the advantage of being able to sneak the subject in right before the ma, just like we can do before muni and chet, instead of using niki, like you would with the pe ending. You put an s right before the ma ending. Just as you know ismani means when I, sma means what I, and weamasma is the same as niki weamape, what I would say. Me weamasma, what I would say about him. Lukta wetin be, yahat botanicum mam be, tet we set dome, adignodome, me weamasma. After he climbed on, he drove well, very afraid, when arriving, what I would say about him. Next sentence.
Twali Maki, Wonoma Pede, Makinum, Katumam, Wallam Nick Day, is seen out and end. We set them.
Hesi maikare, makinudom. We know that makit means know or understand. When you combine the infixes kit and new meaning the action lasts a while, it becomes ki nu. Makinudom means knowing or understanding. Bebam weyap, makinudom. You know that the verb wono means die, but wono with the stress at the end means lose. Wonodom means dying. Wonodom means losing. Tawali maki wonoma beba, his job which he would lose too. This is what he is understanding. Makinudom wonomape, understanding that he would lose his job. Nik be hesimaat amendom, we set dom. Now, not saying anything to me, being afraid. Amendom, not saying. Hesimaat, anything. Bebam weyap, nik hesimaat amendom. Let's look at this whole complex sentence. The three dome words that have the same subject as the main verb will be underlined in light blue. The subject for these is mum wollam.
Twali Maki, Wonoma Pede, Makinum, Katumam, Wallam Nick Day, is seen out and end. We set them.
understanding that he would lose his job too. The white guy was at that time not saying anything to me because he was afraid. Next sentence.
Dan liep nooit een week als een train amadi de kredom de koonam ik koipina dik no kumas ki school mapping koloide. I think as mari chemenunam manan.
What does Niki schoolmapim mean? Where I would go to school. Once again, the ma infixes future in the past. We translate as would. Niki schoolmapim kodoidi means to the area where I would go to school. Notice she puts the D, to or at, on the end of kodoidi. She could have just said Niki schoolmapidi instead, but she wanted to add that it was in an area or country, kodo. There are a lot of different ways to say the same thing. When I arrived, while I was arriving at the train, having left for my destination, I arrived in the area where I would go to school. Here she's summing up her story, telling us that it ended well and she did eventually make it to her school. Awetin kas mamaida chamenwonam manan. After that, I ended up not seeing that man since. I want you to start thinking of your own stories to translate into Maidu. It could be a short 3-minute story about something that happened to you. Start thinking about it. For homework, please keep making up new words with all those miscellaneous infixes, and maybe memorize a dialogue or two. Hell, yahat bispada, chamakas min.